One choice, repeated daily, silently decides your strength, your clarity, and where your life will stand 5 years from now.
Water is not motivation. It is not discipline.
It is not self-care.
Water is the baseline agreement between your body and reality.
The moment you wake up, before thought, before emotion, before identity, your nervous system scans the environment for safety.
If it detects dehydration, it interprets threat.
Cortisol rises.
Focus narrows. Patience collapses. Everything begins to feel heavier than it objectively is. Most bad decisions are not moral failures.
They are physiological shortcuts.
A dehydrated brain prioritizes speed over accuracy, relief over wisdom.
That is why irritation feels justified, why impulse feels urgent, why long-term thinking feels exhausting.
This is not weakness. It is chemistry. Chugging water first thing is mechanical clarity. Blood flows easier. Oxygen delivery improves. Neural signaling stabilizes. You are not more motivated, you are simply no longer fighting internal resistance you didn't know existed. Coffee without water is stress masquerading as productivity.
Energy drinks are borrowed alertness with compound interest.
Water is honest energy. Over time, hydration becomes invisible leverage. Recovery improves. Emotional swings soften. Joints move without protest. Digestion stabilizes. Cognitive endurance increases.
You think clearer for longer stretches.
You crash less often.
Stability replaces volatility, and that alone changes the trajectory of your days. The act of chugging matters because it removes negotiation.
Sipping keeps you undecided. Chugging is decisive. It sends a signal, today is handled.
This small act compounds silently.
5 years from now, your body will either feel like an ally or an obstacle. That future is being negotiated every morning with a glass of water. Water will not transform your life overnight.
It will remove the invisible friction that has been draining it slowly.
And that is how real change actually happens.
The human body was not designed to sit still while the mind searches for meaning.
When movement stops, thought turns inward and begins to decay. Anxiety does not always come from fear, often it comes from unused physical energy with nowhere to go. Stillness breeds rumination. Rumination breeds dread. Movement interrupts the spiral without requiring belief.
Stretching reintroduces you to your joints and reminds the nervous system that the body is intact.
Walking reorganizes thought patterns without force. Push-ups introduce resistance, and resistance reminds the brain that struggle is survivable. Existential dread thrives in abstraction. Movement drags it back into reality. This is not about fitness. It is about agency. Daily movement reinforces an identity, someone who acts. You stop waiting to feel ready. You move first, and readiness follows. Over time, this rewires self-trust.
You no longer panic when discomfort appears, because your body has learned it can metabolize strain instead of avoiding it. The paradox is brutal and consistent. The days you least want to move are the days your nervous system needs it most.
You are not lazy. You are overstimulated and static. A short walk lowers cortisol. Stretching releases stored tension. Push-ups convert anxiety into strength. These are not workouts. They are resets. 5 years of daily movement changes how fear is processed. Fear becomes information instead of paralysis. Tension becomes fuel instead of threat. You stop intellectualizing your way out of discomfort and start moving through it.
That shift alone separates people who feel trapped from people who feel capable.
Movement anchors you in the present when the mind drifts into catastrophic futures.
Over years, this habit compounds quietly, reshaping posture, confidence, and emotional resilience.
Not because you chased perfection, but because you refused stagnation.
Most people are exhausted not because they do too much, but because they want too many futures at the same time.
Competing goals fracture attention.
Fractured attention creates constant internal negotiation.
Negotiation drains energy faster than real work ever will. When everything matters, nothing moves. One goal collapses complexity. It gives tomorrow a spine.
You wake up knowing what matters, and 1,000 micro decisions disappear.
What to do becomes obvious. What to ignore becomes painless.
Focus stops being something you try to have and becomes something the structure enforces.
This is not limitation. It is leverage. One clear direction turns small actions into momentum. You stop chasing motivation because the path is already chosen.
The mind relaxes when it knows where it is going.
Over time, consistency outperforms intensity with embarrassing reliability. A single goal also rebuilds identity. Each completed action becomes proof. Proof builds belief. Belief reduces hesitation.
You stop asking who you could be and start collecting evidence of who you already are.
That evidence compounds quietly and powerfully. 5 years of focused effort looks unimpressive while it is happening. Then it looks inevitable. People will call it luck, timing, or talent.
They will not see the years where you refused to split your attention while others scattered theirs.
One goal makes tomorrow easier because it removes doubt. Doubt is expensive. Clarity is efficient.
This choice alone separates people who drift from people who arrive.
Learning is how you compress time. Books allow you to borrow decades of experience for the cost of attention. Real podcasts expose thinking in motion, unpolished, uncertain, human. But learning only works when it is intentional.
Passive consumption feels productive while changing nothing.
True learning creates friction.
Friction forces reflection.
Reflection reshapes behavior.
Reading summaries skips the struggle, and the struggle is where understanding is forged. Listen to long-form conversations where people explain how they think, not just what they achieved.
Choose material that challenges your assumptions, not just your emotions. Read slowly enough to disagree.
Pause long enough to integrate.
The goal is not information accumulation, it is perspective density. The more frameworks you carry, the less overwhelmed you become. Over 5 years, deliberate learning upgrades your internal dialogue. You ask better questions.
You recognize patterns earlier.
You react less and analyze more. Emotional volatility decreases because you understand context instead of guessing motives. Learning also protects you. You become harder to manipulate. You see incentives behind narratives. You notice repetition in human behavior.
In a world engineered for distraction, depth becomes a quiet rebellion.
One book changes very little. 50 books change how you interpret reality.
5 years of intentional learning redraws the map you use to navigate life, and that map determines where you end up.
Your attention is not infinite. It is fragile, trainable, and constantly hunted. Every notification, headline, and infinite feed is engineered to fragment it. Doom scrolling is not harmless entertainment, it is a slow extraction of clarity.
It replaces your internal signal with borrowed urgency, borrowed fear, and borrowed priorities that were never meant to be yours. The most dangerous part is not what you see, but what it does to your nervous system. Constant exposure to outrage, crisis, and comparison keeps your body in a low-grade stress response.
Cortisol stays elevated. Patience erodes. Focus shortens. You begin each day already reacting to a world that has not even touched you yet. This is why the sacred hour matters. Morning or night, it is the moment when your mind decides its operating mode. What you allow in during that window becomes your emotional baseline.
If you fill it with noise, your day inherits chaos.
If you protect it, your day inherits clarity. Protection requires aggression.
No news cycles pretending to be urgent.
No endless feeds optimized for addiction. No commentary designed to keep you anxious and compliant.
Replace consumption with intention, silence, reading, movement, reflection, or simply doing nothing without guilt.
Over 5 years, this boundary compounds violently in your favor. Emotional regulation improves because your nervous system is no longer hijacked hourly. Decisions become cleaner because they are not layered with unnecessary fear.
You stop mistaking stimulation for importance.
This is not about being uninformed. It is about timing and control. You choose when to engage with the world instead of letting the world invade you on demand. That single shift restores a sense of sovereignty most people never reclaim. Lose control of your attention and even simple goals feel overwhelming. Protect it, and progress feels lighter, calmer, and more deliberate. 5 years from now, the difference will not be dramatic, it will be structural. Your mind will feel like a place you live in, not a battlefield you survive.